Is Venezuela getting safer in 2024? Well, the answer is yes. According to some data, Venezuela is way safer in 2024 compared to just a few years ago, the past decade, and is getting 25% safer in 24 compared to 2023. And today, we are going to discuss that.
Welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
This information is coming straight from the Observatorio Venezolano de Violencia, or OVV. This is a private NGO that takes the data of violence, homicides, and related information and gives an annual briefing regarding the safety situation in Venezuela. And of course, Venezuela is not even close to being one of the safest places in the world. However, it's way safer than most people think, especially abroad. Venezuela right now has a murder rate around 26.8 murders per 100,000 people. That is not, is a far cry compared to the optimal safety level that should be zero violent deaths per 100,000 people. However, it's way safe. For instance, right now, we have a beautiful postcard from my hometown, Lecheria, beautiful city, and actually one of the safest cities, not only in Venezuela, but in Latin America. We have an homicide every 4 or 5 years, something of that nature. So, by the way, the last homicide was 4 years ago around so. And actually, the homicide was very close from where I'm recording right now on a parking lot. By the way, it's not like in this particular parking lot, they like to murder people, just a random occasion, something happened, and well, it is what it is. So, if you come to that particular place, this particular place, right now, when I'm recording, you're going to be very safe. Trust me. Now, let's get to the data. According to the OVB, the violent deaths in 2024 were reduced 25%. And it's just a quarter of what we used to have on 2016. On 2016, we had almost 29,000 violent deaths in the country. Remember, this is not a big, small country, neither a big country. The population is around 30 million people. On 2024, we had 6,973 violent deaths. On 2023, that means 1,956 recorded homicides on 2023. Also, we had 954 police operation deceased. Of course, police shooting around. This happens in basically every country. And we had around 4,000 deaths that are currently under investigation. So truly, we have a very low murder rate. Venezuela is way safer than it used to be. It's not a war zone. This is not Afghanistan or Syria or Palestine right now, or Ukraine on the war with Russia. So Venezuela is not in a state of war. Of course, we have some crime rate, every now and then. So the crime rate is quite low compared to just a decade ago. So if you want to visit the country, you're going to be pretty much fine if you know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, most likely nothing's going to happen, but still know what you do. Let's put it in context compared to other places in Latin America. For instance, Colombia has a murder rate of 25.4 per 100,000. So Venezuela is on that neighborhood with Colombia. Most of you that are watching this content, you already been in Colombia many times. Some of you actually have lived in Colombia. So if you can live in Colombia, you can live in Venezuela. No big deal. And actually, you can say it's safer regarding this petty crime against tourists, because we don't have that petty crime. We don't have as much tourists as, for instance, Colombia. And so we don't have that, organized crime with the scopolamine or those dark treats that the tourists typically suffer in places like Cartagena, Medellin, and of course, Bogota. Very good. Venezuela is actually way safer than Ecuador right now, that we know the situation over there with the terrorism on the TV station. Ecuador has a murder rate of around 46.5 murders per 100,000 people. So Venezuela is way safer than Ecuador on 2024. Keep that in mind. Brazil, which another of your favorite places, has a murder rate of 20.5 per 100,000. So it's on that neighborhood with Brazil. So if you feel safe in Rio de Janeiro or the South Brazil, that's beautiful, or Sao Paulo, you're going to be fine in Venezuela as well. And actually, I will agree that I will say that those particular cities are way more dangerous than Venezuela for the favelas and that kind of stuff. For instance, here in Nigeria, we don't have favelas. Just keep that in mind. Also, we have Costa Rica, the paradise on earth, according to many digital nomads, has a murder rate of 17.4 deaths per 100,000. Costa Rica, of course, is safer than Venezuela, but not as much as you might think. So if you feel safe in Costa Rica, and I will say, by the way, I wouldn't trade Venezuela for Costa Rica. By the way, nothing against the ticos, pura vida. But if you feel safe and you feel okay in Costa Rica, believe me, you're gonna enjoy Venezuela. So, and actually has a better cost of living regarding Costa Rica. Keep that in mind. And lastly, we have the big one in Latin America, Mexico. Mexico has a murder rate of 23.3 violent deaths per 100,000 people. So it's on that neighborhood. And I will say in places like in Playa del Carmen, the Mexican, the Riviera Maya, or Mexico City, or even on the west coast of Mexico, I will say Venezuela on the nice hotspots. Venezuela is way safer than those particular spots on Mexico. Beautiful Mexico, love me some Mexico. However, if you like Mexico, believe me, you're gonna enjoy Venezuela. Probably more than what you will enjoy in Mexico. That's a little bit overcrowded right now. Very good, love Mexico. You can see that Venezuela is very consistent regarding the Latin American average regarding safety. So if you feel safe on those particular places, you're gonna be safer. You're gonna be safe in Venezuela as well. And if you come to the nice cities, for instance, right here in Lecheria, yet again, 20 years with this view, and I don't get bored by that. Love my town. You're gonna be fine. We have beautiful cities, beautiful beaches, beautiful places, nice neighborhoods, nice amenities, and you're gonna be pretty much fine. You might encounter some pesky situations every now and then, but mostly, but with a different nature compared to the rest of Latin America, where we don't have that culture that the rest of Latin America has, where tourists get scammed and get robbed, and now in Colombia with the scopolamine, we don't have, this is not a thing here in Venezuela. So on that particular regard, on petty crime, you're going to be safer in Venezuela. And actually, according to the statement of the director of the OPB, the NGO that tracks this information, he says that we're seeing less random crime in the country, so Venezuela is way safer right now. So we have less of this population, this troublesome population that used to commit these petty crimes just because, not even for financial gains, just because they wanted to commit crimes. So that people, most of them, they left the country already. So you're going to be way safer on that particular regard compared to the rest of Latin America. And the other thing that I have to be very responsible mentioning is that the organized crime is basically committing the crimes in the country. And that's why you have this sense of safetyness on the big cities in Venezuela, because the crime here is not random, it's organized. And of course, it is committed amongst, particular gangs or bands or mafias, or just straight up murders, stuff like that happens on a world, on a reality that is not going to be yours as an entrepreneur, as a tourist, as a digital nomad, or someone, a Western that is curious to visit Venezuela, maybe investing or just spending quite some time chilling out in the country. Now, I want to put in context these crime rates, this death and homicide rates compared to the Caribbean nations. And therefore, the situation is quite dreadful on that regard. We have the U.S. Virgin Islands that have a murder rate or homicide rate of 37.5 murders per 100,000. We have San Kitts and Nevis that has a homicide rate of 65 per 100,000. That's very high. Remember, people pay $150,000 for being a citizen on one of these countries. So Venezuela is not charging yet for that, and you can come here and chill out and be the 3 times safer here in Venezuela. Keep that in mind. San Lucia, other the big ones of the CBI programs in the Caribbean, has a murder rate of 41.6 per 100,000. Also, we have Turks and Caicos, beautiful island on the Caribbean, however, with a murder rate of 52.1 per 100,000, more than double that Venezuela. We have St. Vincent and the Grenadines, another beautiful place in the Caribbean, but actually has a murder rate of 52.1 per 100,000. We have Trinidad and Tobago, 37.5 per 100,000. Jamaica, a violent place in the Caribbean, beautiful, yet again, but with a murder rate of 49.3 per 100,000. It has been diminishing, but still not as safe as you want, especially as an international, as a tourist. And also we have the Bahamas, of course, that's synonymous of high-end luxury travel, has a murder rate of 31.2 per 100,000, so you're going to be safer in Venezuela than the Bahamas. Who knows? And also Anguilla, the beautiful island on the Caribbean that has a moderate crime rate, murder rate, violent crime rate of 27.7 per 100,000. So if you compare Venezuela to the rest of Latin America and the Caribbean, it's actually there. So if you feel free on most of these places, you're going to feel, free and safe. On Venezuela, nothing to be worried about. Just do your due diligence in order to stay on the best places, the best hotels, the best neighborhoods, like visiting my city lecheria, a nice Airbnb, nice hotel chains, or small hotels, or posadas, as you like. So you're going to be safe. And if safety is your main concern regarding Venezuela, not much to be worried about.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again, and have a nice day.